You check your phone within 5 minutes of waking and your cortisol spikes 31% before you even leave bed. It's quietly wiring your brain for anxiety for hours. What if one small habit could reverse it? Habits that fix everything. Here's the truth nobody tells you. The biggest problems in your life are rarely solved by big decisions. They're solved by small, boring actions repeated until they quietly rebuild you. Today we're breaking down the habits that actually cause that shift from your morning routine to how you close out your week, and one of them is going to sound way too simple to actually work. Stick around, because that's usually the one people underestimate the most. Phone-free morning. A team at UC Irvine found that people who checked email the moment they woke up carried elevated cortisol for 2 to 3 hours afterward, even when nothing in the inbox was urgent. Your brain doesn't really tell the difference between a real threat and a notification. It just reacts. A 2024 study in psychoneuroendocrinology split people into 2 groups. One checked phones within 5 minutes of waking, the other waited an hour. The early checkers had cortisol 31% higher 90 minutes later, plus more anxiety and a lingering feeling of being rushed. The fix costs nothing. Delay your first phone check by 20 minutes, and your nervous system wakes up on its own terms. But a calm morning falls apart fast if you spend the rest of the day avoiding the small tasks piling up. That's where the next habit comes in. 2-minute rule. James Clear didn't actually invent this rule. He borrowed it from David Allen and rebuilt it for habits instead of tasks. The idea is to shrink any new habit down to something under 2 minutes. Read more becomes read one page. Do yoga becomes unroll the mat. Here's what most people miss though. The goal was never to stay at 2 minutes forever. Clear calls these gateway habits, entry points designed to make starting so easy your brain can't invent an excuse. Once you're in motion, momentum carries you further than planning ever could. Starting small solves the problem of never starting at all. But what happens after a habit is actually built? That's where a second, lesser-known rule takes over. 1% rule. 1% sounds insignificant, which is exactly why almost nobody sticks with it. Improve by 1% daily and compounded over a year, you're not 1% better. You're roughly 37 times better than where you started. The reverse is just as brutal. Decline by 1% a day and you fade toward nearly nothing. It's the same compounding logic that grows a savings account, except it's compounding your skills and identity instead of your money. Daily gains are invisible, with no dramatic before and after, which is exactly why most people quit right before the curve starts bending upward. But compounding only works if your attention isn't split 5 directions at once, and that's a problem almost everyone underestimates. Single-tasking researchers at the University of London found that multitasking during cognitive tasks dropped participants' effective IQ by around 10 points, comparable to the hit from losing a full night of sleep. For men specifically, some tests showed drops as steep as 15 points, temporarily matching the performance range of an 8-year-old child. Here's the surprising part though. You don't even need 2 things running at once to lose that sharpness. Stanford researchers found that simply knowing an unread email is sitting in your inbox is enough to quietly tax your working memory. Your brain treats an open loop like an open tab, draining resources in the background whether you notice it or not. Closing those tabs is what single-tasking actually protects, but focus only tells you where your attention went in the moment. It doesn't show you the pattern building underneath it over weeks, and that's a different kind of awareness entirely. Writing 1 sentence a day. This one rarely makes these lists, and that's kind of the point. A single sentence a day is too small to fail and too consistent to ignore. Over a month, 30 scattered sentences start revealing patterns you couldn't see living inside any single day. Recurring moods, frustrations, wins you'd otherwise forget by dinner. Journaling researchers call this narrative distance. Writing even 1 line turns a feeling from something you're trapped inside into something you can actually evaluate. It's less about self-expression and more about self-surveillance, in the healthiest sense of the word. You can't fix a pattern you've never written down, and once you start noticing your own patterns clearly, you'll start noticing something else too. How much daily energy quietly leaks out through complaining? Complaint fast. Try going 24 hours without complaining about anything, and most people fail within the first 2 hours. That failure rate is really the whole lesson. Complaining isn't just an attitude problem, it's a rehearsed neural pathway, and every repetition makes the next one fire faster. Will Bowen's A Complaint-Free World project had participants switch wrists every time they complained, resetting a counter until they hit 21 consecutive complaint-free days. Most people needed 4 to 8 months to get there. That's proof of how deeply wired the habit really is. The value isn't force positivity. It's noticing how often your brain defaults to problems instead of solutions, and interrupting that default on purpose. Complaining is often just a disguised way of avoiding a decision, which happens to be exactly the next habit's specialty: saying no by default. Every yes you give away is a future hour spent without knowing what it will actually cost you. Behavioral researchers call this the yes tax. Small, low-friction agreements that quietly stack into an overloaded calendar nobody remembers approving. So flip the default. Instead of starting from yes and negotiating down, start from no and let only the genuinely important things earn their way in. This isn't about becoming difficult. It's about protecting the hours the first 8 habits just fixed. A calm morning, small starting habits, sharper focus. All of it gets erased fast if your calendar says yes to everything. Once your time is actually protected, the next habit resets your body just as deliberately. Cold shower closer. Ending your shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water triggers a measurable spike in norepinephrine, a chemical linked to alertness. Studies on cold exposure have shown increases of several 100% in some cases. But honestly, the number isn't really the point. What actually changes people is doing something genuinely uncomfortable, on command, every single day. You feel the urge to quit within about 10 seconds, and you finish anyway. That rehearsal transfers. People who practice choosing discomfort in the shower report handling stressful conversations with noticeably less internal resistance. It's proof, repeated daily, that you can choose the hard thing over the easy one, exactly the mindset the final habit is built to protect long-term. Weekly review. Here's what almost nobody realizes. Every habit on this list eventually decays without one final habit holding it all together. A weekly review is 15 to 20 minutes spent asking 3 questions: what worked, what didn't, and what needs to change. Without it, small mistakes silently repeat because nobody's actually checking for them. High performers across totally unrelated fields, athletes, surgeons, portfolio managers, share this same practice in different forms, a structured pause to audit their own behavior. The habit doesn't fix anything by itself. Its whole job is making sure the other 8 don't quietly fall apart once life gets busy again. None of these habits are impressive on their own. That's exactly why they work. Nothing this small ever feels like it's changing you until months later you look back and realize it already did. Which habit are you starting today? So pick one. Are you delaying your first phone check tomorrow morning, or are you finally going a full day without complaining? Tell me which one in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.